Welcome back to another episode of History Below the Pines. Today's episode, we take you deep underground in a 1880s abandoned silver mining complex. This is an episode you will not want to miss. Please remember everything you see on this video is private property, and we ask that you respect the property and stay out. The owner of this mine had informed us that this mine was first founded by two brothers in hopes of striking it rich in silver.
This is the original wood from here on in is what you're going to be walking on. We're at the Emma mine today in Galena, and it is closed. I'm the owner and I don't allow anybody in there. It's about 350 feet long or so. And when the Merritt brothers were a couple of the first people that made claims here in Galena, for Merritt 2 and Merritt 1. And then this came, the best we could tell, this came right around 1880, right after Galena was founded in about 1875. And Seth Bullock, who was the first sheriff of Deadwood, when he retired, he was part owner of this mine. And you could tell this mine did fair. They didn't do enough to have iron rail for their ore carts, so they used the wooden rail system with metal strapping, which you could see the metal strap here, and that prevents the wood from wearing out prematurely. And I made this ore cart here. It's what they would have used back in the day. It's what's called an end dump. You lift one end and dump it out, and a lot of work. Here's another one. Now we could tell this is after 1904 because see, it's starting to be vacant here, okay? Mm-hmm. And we got the railroad, see?
Yeah.
Remember that livery barn right? Picture now. And you guys came in on the road, yeah. And this is the creek and that's the road, the railroad. But just don't, there's nothing loose in there, but don't be stupid, you know. It's solid, but don't pick on walls. Just enjoy the sights, guys.
The mine that we are in right now was opened up in the year 1876 by a businessman chasing the dream of finding silver and or gold. One of the two. He knew he wanted to strike it rich. His name was James Consett. Now, James made a claim and opened up what today is known as the Emma Drift on Joe's property. James did not have much money for the mining operation and had to come up with a way to somehow make money, but also mine at the same time. So James had a solution. In 1877, the mine installed wooden track because it costed less than using iron track like all the other mines in the area. Now, a quick side note, before we entered the mine, Joe had mentioned that somewhere inside of this drift was a miner's carving, so we were in the process of looking for the carving. We believe it said more, and he told us that it was near a support, and we looked and looked for it, and finally we came across it. There's no historical data on this miner. If you look close, you can see that wood track that we talked about. This is all original, and it's quite rare. You won't find wooden track in any other Black Hills mines. Another history factoid for you is that this mine was also managed and invested into by a man who you probably have heard of, named Seth Bullock. That's right, the first sheriff of Deadwood actually invested and then became partners in the Emma mine. How neat is that? You may notice the water at the beginning of the mine. Have no fear. The mine was designed this way at a 1 or 2 degree angle so the water would flow out of the mine and not in. As we exited the mine, Joe had noted he had another mine to show us.
Emma 2, I guess it could be called, and there's no nothing else on it. They just said that there's 3 Emmas, and this is the second one. I didn't open this up. This is the way it's been.
Before we entered this next mine, Joe, the owner, had pointed out to us that he had this water tested, and it turned out it was some of the cleanest water in the entire Black Hills. Not sure if it was the mineral content or something to do with the chemicals that they used to mine, but the water, as you can see, is super clear. Okay, maybe not clear anymore. After we exited Emma 2, Joe said he wanted to take us to see the old boilers. So these large pieces of iron that you're looking at are called boilers. This particular set of boilers came to the Black Hills via a wagon train from Chicago. These boilers were made by a company by the name of Fraser and Chalmers. The company was known for manufacturing mining machinery, boilers, pumps, and other mining equipment. Joe had also mentioned to us that at this location was where the gondola used to sit that would have carried ore from the mine down to the road to be hauled away. So what you are looking at here is one of the many adits on the property. This one was just a small pipe that goes into the side of the mountain that enters the mine. We decided not to enter it because of the risk. This adit was original, but also looked very sketchy, so we decided not to enter. Well, we are not done just yet. Joe said he has a few other mines that he wanted to take us to on his property.
And then whatever you could do at the boilers, you know. But you could see how there's stopes and that. Just get, and remember, please remember, if you see any dust at all, any dust, get the hell out, you know, scream to each other, have some type of signal. Don't wait and say, well, what's that dust? Look around. No, you got to get out immediately, okay? You know, because you know what that means, a collapse. Okay? And so that's...
This next mine that we are making our way into the entrance of, or the adit, as a better mining term, is called a decline. This was specifically the Merritt decline that was dug in 1875. Keep in mind, like we stated before, this mine was dug in 1875, so that narrow gauge you see is almost 150 years old. After thorough research on the decline, we found out that they used mules to pack their ore out. The mules would have pulled the mining cars out of the mine, where they would have been hooked up to the gondola system and lowered down onto the road, where it would have been taken to a mill of sorts. So as you can see in front of us, that is a flooded decline. And the big question is how did they get the water out of the decline when they were mining? And that's a great question. Right where this explorer is standing would have sat a pump, and they would have used that pump to pump the water out of the mine. And at certain points, they would have sometimes tied into their pipe system and actually used the water to drill. Now, in this case, we're not sure if they had drills at this mine or not.
See, the steel rail came here, and then the wooden rail came out from this one here. Steel in that. They had a company of guys, I don't know how many, several dozen. They went through the Black Hills looking for any steel they could, okay? And that was for the war effort to make the ships, tanks, whatever, okay? Now this was last worked in before World War I, so this was last worked about 1910. And World War I was about 15, 16. And so by the time World War II came around, all of this was eroded shut. The trails were eroded shut, so that's why they didn't come up here and take what's still left. When I got here, there was 2 feet of dirt, 3 feet of dirt around each boiler. This stack was barely above dirt. All of this you could see here, I dug out. All of that. I don't know how many, 50 dump truck loads over the years. And right behind you is the original floor for the shed for this boiler. Each shed had its own boiler. And you could see the brick here, the insulating brick, and what's left of it. And yeah, it's quite a bit of history.
Well, we had one last mine to document on this trip, and this is inside of Merritt number 1. As you can see, this once successful silver mine is now a pack rat's paradise. Well, that wraps up our adventures at the Emma and Merritt Mining Complex. We had such a fun day with our buddy Joe, but we have one more stop to make before we close out this video, and that's to go visit the historic cemetery.